They're always dressed to impress. MTV couldn't get enough of them. Remember TRL? Anywhere they went, paparazzi followed.
Will Smith and Jada tried to pick her up on a threesome, and you were going to beat up Will Smith. Is that true?
All Jennifer Lopez had to do was marry a white boy, Oscar winner, for people to stop remembering that she had a gun in her pocketbook.
Obviously, the prosecution and law enforcement need to speak with her, get a statement from her, understand what she knows or what she could be able to testify to.
There was a time Diddy were the hottest celebrity couple around, until the 1999 Club New York shooting caused their relationship to crash and burn. Now people are waiting to see whether she'll testify against her ex. There was a time Diddy reigned the hip-hop industry as one of the premier hip-hop mogul, right up there with Jay-Z's Rock Nation. Comms Industries had some major companies under it, including Revolve Network, of course, all that came crashing down with Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, which became the first in a long line of dominoes, which made sure the rapper would never be able to work in the industry again. But that doesn't seem to have him too worried right now. For one, he's shamelessly continuing to try and extort his victims even from jail. New updates, Alec, that he has been trying to call victims from his jail cell.
Prosecutors write the defendant enlisted family members to plan and execute a social media campaign around the defendant's birthday with the intention of influencing the potential jury in this criminal proceeding. And by the way, we covered this on Sidebar. We played that video for you where you can hear his kids wishing him a happy birthday. Combs is on the other line, seems to be happy. But the prosecutors write, at the defendant's carefully curated direction, the defendant's children posted a video to their respective social media accounts showing the defendant's children gathered to celebrate the defendant's birthday. The defendant, from within the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, then monitored the analytics, i.e. audience engagement, and explicitly discussed with his family how to ensure that the video had its desired effect on potential jury members in this case.
The feds have also alleged that Diddy and his team are trying to sway public opinion and use that to get him out of jail. He has allegedly repeatedly expressed his intention to try and change the jury's mind using the internet. He's even gone as far as using his own birthday to highlight the fact that he's a good father.
Look, you can't let him out because he has already been engaging in obstruction while locked up. They read, the government has reviewed dozens of recordings of BOP jail calls in which the defendant uses telephone accounts of at least 8 other inmates, which is against BOP regulations. Seemingly to avoid law enforcement monitoring, the defendant uses other inmates' PAC numbers to make phone calls to both individuals on the defendant's approved contact list, as well as other individuals who are not on the approved contact list. To obtain or maintain access to other inmates' PAC numbers, the defendant directs others to pay the inmates, including through payment processing apps and BOP account deposits. The defendant also frequently instructs individuals whom he contacts by telephone, including family members and his attorneys, to add other individuals via three-way call. This practice is not authorized by BOP as it helps conceal the identities of the contacted individuals. The government has reviewed multiple calls in which the defendant has instructed parties to dial in third parties, including members and associates of the enterprise and individuals who are not on the defendant's contact.
Meanwhile, defense attorney Bradford Cohen says that the feds are in fact being too much in Diddy's case and that he is entitled to try and change people's minds about him because he doesn't want to go to jail. Of course, that's talking from a legal and not moral viewpoint, but no matter what he says, that it is unlikely Diddy will manage to get bail.
But one thing that, and I guess I should say, it doesn't really surprise me as much anymore, but it is Diddy's demeanor. I was expecting, because his family wasn't here, for him to be a little more somber, a little more defeated in a way, but that is not Diddy. Literally his motto, besides being a bad boy for life, is can't stop, won't stop, and you cannot stop that confidence that he has when he appears inside the courtroom. I was very surprised to see that he had come inside. He had kind of smiled at the gallery. I felt in a way he even made eye contact with me, which was very kind of bizarre in a way, but at the same time, he was just appearing as that confident Sean Diddy Combs that we have seen plenty of times in the images, of course, in the stories that we have covered.
That doesn't seem to have put a damper on his spirits. because reporters have made it clear that Diddy is still in a good mood.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in federal court, it's very difficult to get bond on any case. You know, even the cases where you're somewhat entitled to bond, it's still hard to get because these prosecutors come in with these allegations, and no federal judge wants to give someone the opportunity to flee or to influence a witness or to do things. So a lot of federal judges, they don't want to stick their neck out if they don't have to, and if the law is on their side and there's some discretion there. In these cases, it's up to the defense to show why he should get bond, to show how he should get bond, and to put forth a bond package that's acceptable to the court. So my guess is I don't think he's going to get bond on the third try either. And I think it's a very low standard where the prosecutor can show, unless the defense is coming with something phenomenal, it's a very low standard for the prosecutor to show, hey, listen, this guy shouldn't get bond because of X, Y, and Z. All they have to really do is make the allegations. Even with a hearing, you usually have someone come up there and say, oh, look, he's making third-party calls, and they make a bigger deal of it than...
Of course, to put it nicely, it can all be chalked up to an upbeat personality. After all, he didn't get so far in life by admitting defeat easily.
They're always dressed to impress. MTV couldn't get enough of them. Remember TRL? Anywhere they went, paparazzi followed. This was a different time. Everyone wanted to know what they were going to wear. Puffy's white party, Loved Up, and everyone was like, OMG, they're so cute. Then December 1999, they go to a party in New York. There are pew-pews involved. They both get arrested. Later, JLo was off the hook. I vividly remember people were like, goodness gracious, poor JLo, she's with a bad boy, they should break up. But they didn't. They went to the Grammys together. She wore this Versace gown. Everyone lost their minds. They coordinated wearing matching white outfits at the MTV Video Music Awards. Then it came all crashing down. Valentine's Day 2001, they announced they broke up. 7 months later, she married Chris Judd. And then they divorced after 9 months. Diddy and Kim Porter reconciled. Although maybe they were seeing each other in between, and who knows who else he was.
But why do people think Jennifer Lopez might soon snitch on Diddy? Well, it has to do with their very high-profile relationship back in the late 90s. If we were to sum it up, the duo was chaotic.
On the other line, jovial. So I'm not surprised you saying that he kind of has this upbeat mentality. I am very curious about the judge's demeanor. So we were reading kind of the transcript about what the judge was saying.
Yeah, for sure. And you picked that up 1,000%, even from outside the courthouse. It felt that way, too. It felt like the judge was very no nonsense. The judge had a lot of follow-up questions for the government and their arguments about what kind of occurred, how it occurred, all of that sort. And so it did appear that the defense was going to get a win in this case. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see how Friday all plays out. But I gather that the judge was very much no nonsense when it comes to kind of siding with the defense on whether or not that Fourth Amendment and that attorney-client privilege was violated. And I thought for a second there, the government didn't sound as kind of put together as they should have been, because in this case, when you're dealing with somebody like Sean Diddy Combs, you have to cross your T's, dot all your I's, and make sure your ducks are in a row.
They were literally everywhere at the time.
That brings us back to Jennifer Lopez, JLo, Jenny from the block, Diddy's girlfriend from 1999 to 2001. She's listed in the lawsuit in relation to a 1999 nightclub shooting in New York. Here's how it reads in the court docs. It states Diddy's, quote, RICO enterprise has existed for at least 20 years, dating back to the 1999 nightclub shooting in NYC, when Mr. Combs required his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez to transport his illegal firearm into the NYC nightclub.
Her reputation has taken a big hit because of her relation to the case.
We'll be talking about it now. We'll be talking about, did she know more at the time in terms of the types of activities that Diddy was involved in? Was he, actively harming other people and maybe she knew about it and didn't say anything? There were some allegations at the time, and she did kind of drop some hints in several interviews that he was controlling in some ways and that he was cheating on her. So there was infidelity. There was clearly a lot of toxicity in that relationship. So she's touched on that. So I think she might be able to put enough distance between those events at that time and where she is now that she can do damage control in terms of her brand. I don't think it's going to be incredibly detrimental in the long run.
Let's fast forward to...
Until, of course, the 1999 Club New York shooting. JLo herself was arrested, though. Didn't face any charges. But while she might have thought she put that incident behind her, Lil Rod's lawsuit says otherwise.
I had my own sparks, you know what I'm saying? You look at Honey, my sparks was just flying all off me. She was married at the time, so I was in my own relationship, so I had to have self-control. And then we just became friends. I was a dancer, she was a dancer. I was ambitious, she was ambitious. I was a workaholic, she was a workaholic. At first, all of those things was working in our benefit. Then we had this rehearsal where we had to like hold each other like this, you know, we was gonna do some salsa dancing. And then, so I'm holding like this. Then I look up and I look into her eyes and I just fell in love from right then and there. It was just like the first time I fell in love, like love at first sight.
He was larger than life, but at first I didn't like him at all. You know, I didn't. I thought he was like, you know, ick. I didn't like him because, you know, Sean and I were very different that way. You know, I was very like family oriented and that's how I was raised. Once I got to know him and, you know, we became friends first and then we developed this bond. We both understood where we were at that time in our lives, and we both knew nobody else understood exactly how we felt. So in that way, we kind of bonded.
Her reputation has taken a big, big hit because of her relation to the case.
To protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right, because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no.
Hey, speaking of
This
love,
is love.
I saw a guy on the internet the other day who said he used to be your security guard, who said that when you were dating JLo, Will Smith and Jada tried to pick her up on a threesome and you were gonna beat up Will Smith. Is that true?
But this show's gotten crazier since the last time No,
it's all about love, though. That's not true.
You really heard that?
Well, yeah, I watched it on the internet. You're telling me that I can't believe everything I read?
I don't know what you're talking about. Jimmy, I thought we was friends. Where did this?
While experts were skeptical at first, the racketeering charge brought against Diddy means he might be charged for past transgressions, even if the statute of limitations has passed. So people think there's a big chance JLo might show up in court.
Very much the couple of the time.
The ghosts of relationships past may be coming back to haunt Jennifer Lopez in the wake of startling allegations against her ex, P. Diddy.
But there is a universe where she could testify against him in terms of, you know, violence, in terms of his interactions with other artists. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. If I was the prosecutor handling that case, I absolutely would list her, right? But of course, we need to know whether or not she'd be cooperative. That, of course, changes the strategy when it comes to trial. So you may list someone as a potential witness. That does not mean you're necessarily going to call them. The question is whether or not their testimony is really going to help you. But there is a universe where she could testify against him in terms of, you know, violence, in terms of his interactions with other artists, especially the folks that have been coming forward alleging that he has harmed them in some way or engaged in, you know, human trafficking and sex trafficking. So was she aware of any of that going on? Did she see him with underage girls, or was she present for when some of those videos were taken that Lil Rod, included screenshots of those videos in his pleadings? So how much of that did she know? When did she know it? And what actions did she take at the time? Is that part of the reason why they broke up? We don't know. So all of this will remain to be seen. Obviously, the prosecution and law enforcement need to speak with her, get a statement from her.
But that doesn't mean the two haven't been associated with each other over the years. There was that crazy claim from Gandil where he said that Diddy once suspected that Will and Jay Smith wanted to sleep with Jay just to protect my integrity in that virgin hole I was telling you about, right?